Well, fresh from his public spat with President Trump, former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has now undercut Peter Dutton, the leader of the Liberal Party, of which he is still a member, by the way, by suggesting it'd be unfair to blame the federal government if the US administration refuses to grant Australia a tariff exemption. The coalition has, of course, been on the attack, suggesting that the PM must bear some responsibility.
Prime Minister of Australia can't even get a phone call with the President. He would have gone to Washington, but President Trump won't meet with him. Ambassador Rudd can't get a phone call returned. He can't get into the White House or into the West Wing.
Meanwhile, Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick accused Australia of dumping cheap aluminium and steel on the United States overnight.
You've got dumpers in the rest of the world. Japan dumps steel. China dumps steel. And we're not going to stand for China dumping, Japan dumping. Australia does a lot of aluminum at below cost. I mean, this has got to end, and the president is on it.
Joining me now is Principal at Eminence Advisory and contributor to the Australian, Dimitri Burshtein. Dimitri, thank you for joining me on the desk tonight.
Thank you, Cal.
I'm not sure it's necessarily true that we're dumping aluminium and steel on the United States, and I don't think it really matters in this case, to be perfectly honest. Trump said this tariff would apply to everyone, and it has applied to everyone.
I think that's a fair point, Caleb, and I hate to agree with former Prime Minister Turnbull, but he's right. If President Trump is prepared to do to Canada what he's done, he's given no exemptions anywhere else. I think it's childish to quibble about the fact that Australia got no exemptions. I think the greater issue for us is the flow-on effects of the tariffs that will be applied to other countries, particularly China.
Is this really as bad as it's been made out to be? I mean, what is it, 0.2% of our exports or something? Is it really going to hurt us in the long run?
Well, if you're a business owner who's affected, of course it's going to hurt you. But in the macro sense, I think our exports to China are about 10 times greater than what they are to the United States. I don't think it'll hurt us directly, but indirectly, because these tariffs will inevitably slow down the global economy. Our exports to other nations will be impacted. There will be a bit of a softening because Australia has a flexible exchange rate, so there'll be a softening of the impact, but it cannot but impact the Australian economy.
In terms of our exports to other nations, though, doesn't this give us an opportunity to find another market for our aluminium and steel? Much like, China cut off our wine for a while there, so we went and found other people who would buy it. Are we not going to do the same thing here? Again,
yes, it's possible, but what will happen is when the US government applies, I think it's between 30 and 50% on China, and China starts buying less gas, less iron ore, less coal. Korea, Japan, these are all markets for our commodities. What's going to happen? And we're going to receive fewer dollars on that.
This idea of protectionism that, we all sort of thought was left behind decades ago and Trump has jumped back on board with, is he going to bring it back in vogue? I mean, he's doing it. Is there a chance now that other nations start going down the same road?
Well, the last time this was brought back in vogue was, brought on the Great Depression with the Smoot-Hawley Act. President Trump has been speaking a lot about the 25th president, William McKinley, who was really big on tariffs. But that was at a time when the US federal government had no income tax, and it was around 2% of the US economy. It's around 25 to 30% of the economy with lots of income tax. Adam Crichton has, on Sky News and in the paper, has suggested this is a means to generate tax revenue to reduce the US government's deficit. But you cannot, as Australia will soon learn, fix a budget problem by raising taxes, because all you're going to do is slow the economy and reduce other sources of tax revenue.
Well, you mentioned taxes there. Of course, we've got a federal budget coming up at the end of the month, March 25th. The income tax take now is through the roof, $350 billion this financial year in income tax, which is the highest rate it's been at in a very long time, 19 years. Are we likely to see any relief in this space? I highly doubt it. I mean, we got our supposed stage 3 tax cuts. But the government has become so addicted to it, of course, through bracket creep, which stage 3 was meant to address. They don't want to address bracket creep because it's easy money.
Of course it's the case. Australia actually did have indexation of tax brackets once before. It was in the early 70s, in the latter 70s. Malcolm Fraser went to an election, promising to index brackets. He did. It lasted maybe 1 or 2 years before it wasn't generating enough money. The Australian government hasn't got a tax problem, it's got a spending problem.
Correct. And you said it's not generating enough money. It's money that they want, not money that they need. Dimitri
Well, what they're going to do, if I may just finally,
Sure.
they're going to balance their budget by destroying household budgets.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, they've already done that, I think, and they're well on the way to doing it even more. Dimitri, thank you so much for joining me.